So let's do a brief rundown. I mean, I don't know how many people haven't heard of this case by now. I mean, at least in passing. This is, again, it was just such a famous case, but I'll do the quick rundown from the wiki and then we will get into the details. John David Gosch, born November 12, 1969, disappeared September 5th, 1982, was a paperboy in West Des Moines, Iowa, who disappeared without a trace between 6 and 7 a.m. on September 5th, 1982. He is presumed to have been kidnapped. As of 2022, there have been no arrests made, and the case is now considered cold, but remains open. His mother, Noreen Gosch, said that Johnny escaped from his captors and visited her with an unidentified man in 1997. She said that her son told her that he had been the victim of a pedophile organization and had been cast aside when he was too old, but subsequently feared for his life and lived under an assumed identity, feeling it was not safe to return home. Gosch's father, John, divorced from Noreen since '93, has publicly stated that he is not sure whether or not such a visit actually occurred. Many have also speculated the visit did occur, but it was someone else pretending to be Johnny. Authorities have not located Gosch or confirmed Noreen Gosch's account, and his fate continues to be the subject of speculation, conspiracy theories, and dispute. The case received huge publicity in 2006 when his mother said she had found photographs on her doorstep depicting Gosch in captivity. Some of the photos received were said to be children from a case in Florida, but one boy in the photos was never identified. Noreen Gosch insists that boy is Johnny. Gosch's picture was among the first to be featured on milk cartons as part of a campaign to find missing children. I mean, there's a lot here, obviously. I mean, there's several layers here, and not to fall for false dichotomies, is it possible the pictures are real, but the visit was either not him or never occurred? I mean, I'm going to get into the specifics of that visit, because that's something that I've actually thought about. I mean, it's kind of hard to make heads or tails of that visit because of all the different possibilities, but if it really was him, why did he feel safe to come visit that time? And why, I mean, there's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, regardless of which theory you believe, I mean, it's like you can't make a theory that would adequately explain all of the bullet points here. Disappearance, Sunday, September 5th, 82, in the suburb of West Des Moines. Johnny Gosch left home before dawn to begin his paper route. Although it was customary for Johnny to awaken his father to help with the route, the boy took only the family's miniature dachshund, Gretchen, with him that morning. Other paper carriers for the Des Moines Register would later report having seen Gosch at the paper drop picking up his newspapers. It was the last sighting of Gosch that can be corroborated by multiple witnesses. Another paperboy named Mike reported that he observed Gosch talking to a stocky man in a blue two-toned car near the paper drop. Another witness, John Rossi, saw the man in the blue car talking to Gosch and thought something was strange. Gosch told Rossi that the man was asking for directions and asked Rossi to help. Rossi looked at the license plate but could not recall the plate number. He said, "I keep hoping I'll wake up in the middle of the night and see that number on the license plate as distinctly as night and day, but that hasn't happened." Rossi underwent hypnosis and told police some of the numbers and that the plate was from Warren County, Iowa. As Gosch walked a block north where his route started, Mike noticed another man following Gosch. A neighbor heard a door slam and saw a silver Ford Fairmont speed away northwards from where Johnny's wagon was found. So, okay, does that mean there are at least two individuals involved here? John and Noreen Gosch, Johnny's parents, began receiving phone calls from customers along their son's route complaining of undelivered papers. John performed a cursory search of the neighborhood around 6 a.m. He immediately found Johnny's wagon full of newspapers, 2 blocks from their home. The Gosches immediately contacted the West Des Moines Police Department and reported Johnny's disappearance. Noreen, in her public statements and her book, Why Johnny Can't Come Home, has been critical of what she perceives as a slow reaction time from authorities and of the policy at the time that Gosch could not be classified as a missing person until 72 hours had passed. By her estimation, the police did not arrive to take her report for a full 45 minutes. Initially, the police came to believe that Gosch was a runaway, but later they changed their statement and suggested that Gosch was kidnapped, but they were unable to establish a viable motive. They turned up little evidence and arrested no suspects in connection with the case. Also, obviously, I know police, the go-to is runaway for teenagers. But this kid was 12 years old. I mean, he's kind of on the young side to... I mean, what are the stats for the most runaways? I mean, I don't think most runaways were that young. Generally, they'd be more into the teen years. But it's just weird how that seems to be like a go-to in almost in a lot of these missing cases. I mean, yeah, maybe they're a runaway, but what's the harm in doing an investigation? I mean, if they're that tied up with all these other definitive cases, maybe, but... A few months after his September 82 disappearance, Noreen Gosch has said her son was spotted in Oklahoma when a boy yelled to a woman for help before being dragged off by 2 men. Wow. I mean, the amount of coincidences in this case is also quite substantial. I mean, we'll get them one at a time here, but let me finish the rundown before we start examining all of these points. Over the years, several private investigators have assisted the Gosches with the search for their son. Among them are Jim Rothstein, a retired New York City police detective, and Ted Gunderson, a retired chief of the Los Angeles FBI branch. And Ted Gunderson, of course, is one of the first guys to blow the whistle on so-called widespread human trafficking and satanic connections within political and law enforcement circles. What coincidence theorists pretend doesn't exist, this former FBI head exposed all of this. So, continuing on here, in 1984, Gosch's photograph appeared alongside that of Juanita Lee Estevez on milk cartons across America. They were the second and third abducted children to have their plights publicized this way. The first was Eaton Potts. Another missing paperboy. On August 12th, 1984, Eugene Martin, another Des Moines area paperboy, disappeared under similar circumstances. He disappeared while delivering newspapers on the south side of Des Moines. Authorities were unable to prove a connection between the 3 cases, yet Noreen Gosch says that she was personally informed of the abduction a few months in advance by a PI who was searching for her son. She was told the kidnapping would take place the second weekend in August 84, and it would be a paperboy from the south side of Des Moines. See, this is why people have doubts regarding Noreen, and yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Fraud by wire case. In 1985, Noreen Gosch received a letter from Robert Herman Meyer II, 19 years old, of Saginaw, Michigan. The letter had been signed Samuel Forbes Dakota, whereupon Meyer, acting as Dakota, stated that he was a guard in a motorcycle club when Gosch's son disappeared in September 82. According to Meyer, Gosch's son was taken as part of a large child slavery ring operated by the club. According to the FBI, Meyer requested from and received $11,000 from the Gosches. Meyer additionally requested $100,000 more, along with a promise to return their son. Meyer was arrested in Buffalo at the Canadian border by FBI agents and was later charged by fraud by wire. The letter Meyer wrote had stated that Gosch's son was sold to a man whom Meyer identified as a high-level drug dealer residing in Mexico City. Despite the accusation of fraud, Noreen Gosch reportedly believed Meyer at his word and later criticized the FBI, stating that the arrest warrant against Meyer destroyed her and her husband's John's credibility with anyone who would take the couple's offer to pay ransom for their boy. And there are a lot of links here to Mexico, so we will be getting to them. But it is curious that this is the guy that was pinned for this, because or fingered for this by Meyer, because it's not like there's a shortage of so-called elite politicians or upper crime circles within the U.S. or in other countries. It's not like Mexico is the only place where this is happening. So it is a little bit curious that he pointed to Mexico, and then there's a bunch of coincidences that are going to happen regarding Mexico, which we'll get to. Noreen Gosch's account. According to Noreen Gosch's account, she was awakened 2:30 a.m. one morning in March 1997. So wait a second. She doesn't have a date here. That's a little bit problematic. Waiting outside was Johnny Gosch. So 1997, knock on our apartment door. Waiting outside was Johnny Gosch, now 27, accompanied by an unidentified man. Gosch said she immediately recognized her son, who opened his shirt to reveal a birthmark on his chest. We talked about an hour or an hour and a half. He was with another man, but I have no idea who the person was. Johnny would look over to the other person for approval to speak, says Gosch. He didn't say where he is living or where he was going. In a 2005 interview, Noreen Gosch said that the night that he came here, he was wearing jeans and a shirt and had a coat on because it was March. It was cold and his hair was long. It was shoulder length and it was straight and dyed black. After the visit, she had the FBI create a picture she says looked like Johnny. Noreen Gosch self-published a book in 2000 titled Why Johnny Can't Come Home. The book represents her understanding of what her son went through based on the original research of various PIs and her son's visit. On September 1st, 2006, Gosch reported that she found photographs left at her front door, some of which she posted on her website. One color photo shows 3 boys bound and gagged. She says that a black and white photo appears to show a 12-year-old Johnny Gosch with his mouth gagged, his hands and feet tied, and an apparent human brand on his shoulder. A third photo shows a man possibly dead who may have had something tied around his neck. Mrs. Gosch stated that the man was one of the perpetrators who molested my son. Gosch later said that the first 2 photos had originated on a website featuring pornography involving minors. On September 13th, an anonymous letter was mailed to Des Moines police. Gentlemen, someone has played a reprehensible joke on a grieving mother. The photo in question is not one of her son, but of 3 boys in Tampa, Florida, about 1979 to 1980, challenging each other to an escape contest. There was an investigation concerning that picture made by the Hillsborough County, Florida Sheriff's Office. No charges were filed, and no wrongdoing was established. The lead detective on this case was named Zalva. This allegation should be easy enough to check out. Nelson Zalva, who worked for the Hillsborough County, Florida Sheriff's Office in the 70s, said the details of the letter were true, and adds that he also investigated the black and white in 1978 or 1979 before Gosch's disappearance. I interviewed the kids, and they said there was no coercion or touching. I could never prove a crime, Zalva said. When asked for proof that this was indeed the same photo from the investigation nearly 3 decades prior, Zalva could not provide any. Wait, why would he not be able to provide proof? There's no case files or anything? That's weird. According to the documentary film Who Took Johnny, 2014, only 3 boys in the picture were identified by law enforcement, but not the one thought to be Johnny. Noreen Gosch still believes the pictures to be of her son. Also, I'm just going to add another point here. Has anyone else verified this one detective's investigation? I'm just saying, if there's some high-ranking people involved, and how easy would it be to just tell an officer, yeah, just say you talked to the boys and that there was no coercion. or whatever. I mean, can anybody actually verify this? I mean, when you only have one guy's word to take for it, I mean, that's problematic. I don't understand how so-called true crime aficionados can just write something off based on one human's words. I mean, again, I bring this up all the time. It's not rocket science. Humans are fallible, and humans are also known to lie. I mean, this should not be that shocking at this point in time. I mean, maybe 100 years ago, in more proper society, it might be a little bit more shocking that someone in official capacity would lie, but not really today. Should be understood by now. Noreen Gosch still believes the pictures to be of her son. In 1989, 21-year-old Paul A. Bonacci told his attorney, John DeCamp, that he had been abducted into a sex ring with Gosch as a teenager and was forced to participate in Gosch's kidnapping. John DeCamp met with Bonacci and believed he was telling the truth. Noreen later met him and said he told her things he could only know from talking with her son. He said that Johnny had a birthmark on his chest, a scar on his tongue, and a burn scar on his lower leg. Although a description of the birthmark had been widely circulated, information about the scars had not been made public. See, and that's good because now I mean, this seems legitimate then, right? Because if you hold back certain things, you can tell who's telling the truth or not later, because that's kind of a random thing. How many people have scars on their tongue? I mean, that seems rare. A burn scar on the lower leg, I mean, if you know which leg, and if you can, state exactly the size and shape, then yes, that would be, but I mean, obviously it's a little bit more common than scars on the tongue. Bonacci also described a stammer that Johnny had when he was upset. The FBI and local police do not believe that Bonacci is a credible witness in the case and have not interviewed him. Wow, is that the most mind-shocking? I mean, shouldn't police approach all leads like they just assumed he was not credible? So they didn't even bother to interview him instead of interviewing him to determine credibility? What does everybody make of this? I mean, is this one of the most botched investigations ever? And the FBI are involved here too, so it's kind of weird. His siblings told police he was at home when Gosch was abducted. That's curious. So, I mean, here's the thing though. When you have these traumatized individuals, they could possibly misremember details, right? Like, what does he mean by he assisted with the kidnapping? Did he mean right in that minute? Or did he mean later on? Because this is also a relative kid here. So he would have been a teenager at the time. And also, how would his siblings be able to tell the police he was at home? Like, how old were his siblings? And they were keeping their eyes on the minute clock? Wait, what? Like, they kept tabs on him every single minute, every second of every day, and they specifically knew the day that Gosch was abducted exactly where he was at which second. I mean, that's kind of weird, too. Does nobody find that weird? I mean, they could have told police that, but how would... I mean, they're just going to take their word, too? Maybe they really believed it, too. Like, they thought he was up in his room or whatever, but if he wasn't, how would they know? Unless they had eyes on him every second of that day, and how would they even remember that perfectly? But anyway, I mean, if they had eyes on him every single day for like that whole week, I mean, then yes, then they would be able to tell that. But if they didn't, I mean, that's weird. That's weird. I mean, we'll get into... I mean, this case, it's not like we have nothing to go on here. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces here. There's a lot of testimonies, and it seems like these could be credible. I mean, obviously, there's a whole bunch of others that might not be credible, but these are the main ones outlined here on the wiki, and they seem like theoretically, it's plausible that all of this could be true. National interest. The case generated national interest as Noreen Gosch became increasingly vocal about the inadequacy of law enforcement's investigation of missing children's cases. She established the Johnny Gosch Foundation in 1982, through which she visited schools and spoke at seminars about modus operandi of sexual predators. She lobbied for the Johnny Gosch Bill, state legislation which would mandate an immediate police response to reports of missing children. The bill became law in Iowa in 1984, and similar or identical laws were later passed in Missouri and 7 other states. In August 1984, Noreen Gosch testified in Senate hearings on organized crime, speaking about organized pedophilia and its presumed role in her son's abduction. She began receiving death threats. Gosch also testified before the U.S. Department of Justice, which provided $10 million to establish the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Gosch was invited to the White House by President Ronald Reagan for the dedication ceremony. Wow. I mean, so she testifies in Senate hearings, and then she gets death threats. Now, see, that's curious, because if the random crazies, they would be giving her death threats at random times. But now, I mean, she's talking about organized crime and this kind of organized trafficking of sorts, which might involve political circles. Now she's getting death threats. That's weird. That's definitely weird. So that's the basic rundown. I mean, there is a lot to work with here.